If you were to ask me the number one claim leveled against religion, I would probably say it is the belief that religion has started more wars and killed more people than anything else in history. People seem to take this as patently obvious and a given, no fact-checking necessary. More recently, the objection has morphed slightly to include the belief that religion has been a tool of colonialism, resulting in great harm to entire cultures. During my teenage years, there was a very popular slogan credited to psychologist Timothy Leary. It was this: question authority. To a substantial degree, I agree with it, provided we are actually looking for answers. We all have a natural tendency to simply believe the things our culture or our preferred echo chamber tells us, and this claim against religion is currently very popular. But have you questioned this belief? Hi, I'm Kirk, and I'm a scientist and a philosopher and a person who spends a lot of time thinking about the why questions in life. So if you're interested in discussions pertaining to God, science, and life, then please subscribe to my channel here, where I'll be posting on a regular basis. You can also subscribe to my social media accounts, and the links are below. So let's see what is involved in questioning the current narrative that religion has killed and caused more harm than anything else in history, whether it be through colonialism, wars, or witch burnings. Questioning narratives that you are immersed in every day on social media or in the classroom is a good first step towards critical thinking and the quest for truth. First, there are a lot of religions in the world, but in our culture, Christianity is the one most singled out and attacked. So let's focus on that religion. The first thing we might ask is, where does this idea come from, that Christianity has been a tool of colonialism and has killed vast numbers of people? 2 days ago, I listened to an interview with internationally respected social psychologist and atheist Jonathan Haidt. In it, he described a current serious destructive influence our culture is facing by woke activists. So we need to pause and ask what the word woke means. The word woke originally described a state of being alert to social injustices, with racism being an example. The fascinating thing is that being alert to social injustices is an essential aspect of one of the top 2 commands given by Jesus Christ, when he said that we should love our neighbor as ourselves, where the word neighbor means any human being who walks the planet. The word love doesn't mean some fluffy feeling of fondness for a fellow human, but something much deeper that requires a commitment to put our fellow human being ahead of our own personal rights and wants. So if the foundational origin of being woke is also an essential part of the top 2 commands in Christianity, then how does wokeism's accusation of colonialism fit in? This is where things get interesting. Jonathan Haidt pointed out that the way woke activists are carrying out their mission has produced a climate of fear that now pervades academics, student lecture halls, governments, media, and the working world. It ramps up hate and division rather than reconciliation. Psychologist Michael Carson, in an article titled "The Psychology of Wokeism" in Psychology Today, describes wokeism as, and I quote, "a system of thought and behavior characterized by intolerance, policing the speech of others, and proving one's own superiority by denouncing others." He also points out that wokeism promotes hate by silencing, dehumanizing, and humiliating certain groups within our culture. As I reflected on this, it occurred to me that wokeism, while it attacks Christianity for being a tool of colonialism, is itself imposing its own form of cultural colonialism on our society today. It not only passionately believes and promotes that its own beliefs and way of thinking are the correct way, that all people should think, but that all differing views are bigoted and racist, and it does this with all the zeal of religious fanatics. Its expectation is that everyone must embrace and affirm the beliefs of wokeism. By doing this, it not only actively promotes cultural colonialism, but it has characteristics of a rather severe form of religion. Let me explain. Wokeism has its own central statement of faith, creeds, and dogma. For example, a key doctrine is the importance of promoting decolonization. Conversely, anyone who publicly disagrees with the core creeds of wokeism is essentially a heretic. Figuratively speaking, dissenters are crucified on the social media, and wokeism is brutal and relentless in its punishment. Like some religions, wokeism has its own form of excommunication by canceling a dissenter from social media, deplatforming them by depriving the dissenter of a public voice, and if they are employed, bringing public and social media pressure on the employer to fire them. Public apologies or recantations are demanded. Wokeism is one of the most judgmental religions in the world. There is no mercy and no forgiveness, no matter how abject the apology for things done, even if the harmful event dates from decades earlier. Like some of the more severe varieties of religion, it seeks to convert by intimidation and coercion, by implementing a type of social terrorism, which has produced a climate of fear, especially in the academic world, both among students and university administrations. So where am I going with all of this? Do you remember that if we looked at the essential basic belief of the woke and compared it with the top 2 essential commands given by Christ, they were beautifully compatible? Where have things gone wrong when it comes to the current colonialization of our culture by the woke crusade, as well as with the historical atrocities done in the name of Christianity? I suggest there is a common corrupting influence, and it is human nature itself. There is no secret that bad things have been done in the name of Christianity. The Crusades, witch burnings, and Spanish Inquisitions are well-known examples. More recently in Canada, there were the government-mandated residential schools, many of which were given to either the Roman Catholic Church or the Anglican Church to operate. The fact that the government committed, in my own opinion, a crime against humanity by forcibly removing Indigenous children from their families and communities to put them in residential schools should have immediately brought strong condemnation from Christians rather than the participation of 2 different Christian denominations. How did the culture of the day lead them into such corruption? Incidentally, when we fact-check the idea that religion has caused more death than anything else, we find the belief is actually false. Non-religious countries killed approximately 100 times as many people. According to the research of University of Hawaii social scientist Rudolf Rommel, and winner of the International Association of Genocide Scholars Award for a distinguished lifetime contribution to the field of genocide and democide studies and prevention, the Soviet Union killed almost 62 million of its own people. And the Chinese Mao Soviets, followed by the Communist Party of China, killed over 76 million of its own citizens, for a total of 140 million killed, and this does not include a minimum of another 4 million killed as Marxist communism colonized other small countries. Compare this to Rommel's estimate of 1.4 million people killed in the Crusades by both Muslims and Christians, the witch burnings, and the Spanish Inquisition. Given all this, we see that religion kills, but non-religious countries killed many times more. For those countries, religion was actively stamped out and atheism was a core belief, taught in the schools and necessary for advancement. Something evil can corrupt human governments, religions, including Christianity, colonialism, and wokeism. What is it that restrains human governments and religions from going completely over the moral precipice? Let's start with looking more closely at colonialism with the objective of identifying its evils. Colonization is inextricably woven into the entire track record of human history for millennia. Every one of us has ancestors who were involved in migrations to other areas of the planet, tribal warfare to enlarge territories, invasions of other areas, and so forth. Wokeism cannot itself claim that colonization is bad when it is so obviously involved as we speak in its own cultural colonialization of all aspects of our society. So let's deconstruct colonialism to see what specifically are the evils. When we examine history, colonization often included the violent conquering of people, taking their lands and possessions. It often involved a lot of death and subjugation, depriving peoples of former freedoms. Government-mandated residential school systems and its destruction of indigenous families was essentially a crime against humanity. So we see that the problems with colonization actually break down into various individual evils that plague every aspect of human history, be it religion, government, or just everyday human interactions. These evils boil down to theft, murder, greed for land and wealth, the desire for power, and the discriminatory silencing, humiliation, and dehumanization of other groups of people. We need to look no further than human nature to see where they come from. So what is the solution? Let's think about why it is that countries that were non-religious and had atheism as a core value had such a horrific record of human rights violations and mass killings. Atheism does not promote bad behavior as a core belief. In fact, I know quite a few atheists that are very nice people. It is what atheism does not have that is the issue. It does not have a moral guardrail that's anchored in something higher than humanity to keep it from falling off the moral precipice. Perhaps one of the most well-known atheists in the world right now is Richard Dawkins. Although he was once strongly opposed to any sort of religion and looked forward to the day when religions went extinct, he has more recently changed his view. In an interview with The Times, Dawkins stated that people may feel free to do bad things because they feel God is no longer watching them. Although he hates the idea that society needs what he believes to be an imaginary God to be good, he suspects that when a culture does not believe in God, it frees them up to do horrible things, exactly as we saw under Marxist communism. Dawkins' statements have a great deal of explanatory power when it comes to the horrific track record of atheistic Marxist communism in the 20th century, and I think he's partly right, but there is something else. Just as there is a difference between the original principle of being woke and the wokeism it has evolved into, so there is a difference between what Jesus actually taught and what people do to religion when they succumb to their own human nature. We need to think critically about the patterns of society. Today it's wokeism, tomorrow it might be a new morality or a new hack religion that Christians seem to be influenced by without critiquing it against the Bible. My point is this: we need the power to live differently. The spiritual rebirth in true, authentic Christianity gives a person the power to actually set aside the nasty aspects of their own human nature and live according to a new supernatural nature created within them when they truly put their faith in Christ. Modern secular academic research may not understand this, but they do recognize in their own research that Christianity has had remarkable pro-social effects on human civilization. One more thing. The next time someone says that religion has killed more people than anything else, it might be worthwhile to ask the person the question: is this what Jesus taught? Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, or at least found it thought-provoking. And if you did, please share it, or you can leave a comment in the section below. And also, don't forget to hit the like button.